Like, to be honest, I wish I had the same drive that I have now before I had the kids, because it only flipped the switch when I had the kids. And then I was like, damn, I got to really, really provide now.
Right, right.
And then if I had this mindset before, man, I'd be like 10 times better than what I'm at now.
I think to myself a lot, like, when was I at my maximum, like, peak efficiency? And it was definitely when I was in nursing school, like,
Mhm.
trying to get to this point, not really understanding, like, what came along with being a nurse, but I had, like, a objective, a mission, and I was so locked in on it. After that, like, I feel like after I got out of college and I'm like, "Okay, I don't have to do school anymore," like,
Yeah.
it kinda just I fell into the rat race cycle. But now becoming an entrepreneur, it's like, damn, it's so hard to just be able to focus 100% on one thing and be able to
Mhm.
give that your all. Because like I said, I just kind of feel like I'm juggling 25% here, 25%
Oh,
here.
dude.
And then when you have to be 100% at work, and it's like I'm giving these people 100% of my time and they have me undivided, but I can't even give the same amount to the things that are important to me, which is the ultimate goal of why I got to get out.
Hey guys, Brian here, and welcome back to Direct Admission. And in today's video, our guest is Tyron Tyson, also known as the Urban Nurse. I've been following him for 2 years now on YouTube. And in this podcast, we go over his humble beginnings all the way to becoming a nurse and now a financial planner and real estate investor. And if you want to hear a lot of real talk, this is the interview for you. So before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's go. So we have Tyron Tyson, the Urban Nurse, here on the channel today. And to be honest, I've been following you for a while, man. And if you just want to go into everything that you're doing, well, introduce yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we'll go into everything from there.
All right, cool. So my name is Tyron Tyson. I'm best known on the streets as the Urban Nurse. I'm a registered nurse, been a nurse for 6 years, currently specializing in vascular access. I'm a real
Nice.
estate investor with three doors right now, and also have some real estate developments going on. And I'm also a licensed financial advisor working with healthcare professionals who invest in real estate. So really trying to bring everything together and help as many people as I can transition away from the bedside and at some point more into real estate full time, and then able to pick up, do PRN when they want to still stay within the field. But I'm really strong in having equity, having ownership in what you do. And as nurses, we don't have any equity in the hospital. So it's creating some ownership outside so that you have that leverage and that financial freedom to say, okay, F it, I'm done. I want to do and live my life. So
Yes, sir.
yeah.
And let's like unpack a lot of that from there. Cause like I said, I've been following you for a while. I think
Mhm.
even before you actually started making thumbnails for your YouTube.
Oh wow.
That's
Wow.
like at least 2 years.
Yeah. It's crazy because a lot of people, I get that a lot. Like, I've been following you since I've been in nursing school. I've been following you, and it's when I'm down here in the basement just making content in front of the camera. That's not a level of complexity I really think about. Like, somebody's
Mhm.
gonna watch this, but then the people who are vested in the content that I've created over time, man, it means so much because it's like, okay, you weren't doing this for nothing. You just weren't, trying to create content, but I was actually resonating with people and,
Mm.
people
100%,
feeling what
man.
I'm saying, you know?
And like I just before we get into like your whole backstory, but just to go into it, the reason why I started following you like 2 years ago, like I didn't really see other dudes out there, another nurse that's a guy out there
Mhm.
doing real estate and just talking about financial literacy and all that. And I was like, damn, this guy's pretty cool. And then
Thank you.
I was like,
Appreciate
and
that,
I just
man.
started following it from there. And
Appreciate
like
that.
and I think you also did like a lot of real talk where it's like nurse bullying and all that stuff
Yeah,
too. I
yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
I think that was the
Early
first one that
early
I
on, I
saw.
was very nurse advocate,
Mhm.
but then once I kind of realized how the system works, how
Mhm.
that mindset and mentality shifts over the time of your career, and you kind of get Stockholm syndrome. And nurses, once they're in it long enough, it's really hard to motivate them to get out because that becomes their identity. So
Mhm.
early on, man, when I was that's the reason I created my platform itself, because when I was trying to become a nurse, there were
Mhm.
very few nurses that I saw that were, one, of my ethnicity,
Mhm.
two, of my gender preference. I
Mhm.
think that's how you say it, but you know, the
Yeah.
pronouns and things. But and then there was nobody who was really speaking about their experiences. Everything was just kind of the aesthetic, the
Mhm.
travel nursing thing. So I'm like, listen, I want to come in and kind of add a different perspective and really
Mhm.
kind of tell people what's going on. Because once I got in it, I'm like, dang, I think I kind of made a mistake. And then it was really help people avoid the same mistake
Mhm.
that I
Yeah.
made. So yeah.
And then let's go into how you got into nursing, because I remember seeing also like an Instagram post that you were a housekeeper at first, and then you just climbed your way up. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So after high school, man, I played high school ball, trying to chase my college football dream. I was never that good, so I went out and went to junior college for a semester, played D3 ball for another semester, and I'm like, all right, there's no way there's ever going to be any elevation after this. So I'm like, let me go back home and try to figure out what's next. So my
Mhm.
grandmother, she was a nurse. She's been a nurse all my life, and she's like, listen, you know, you work hard, you're good with people, you can always put a smile on someone's face. You're like, you should definitely look into nursing, because there's this thing called being a travel nurse and you can travel the world and make this money. I said, okay. So my first, that's when the plan started. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go work at one of the most known hospitals in my city, which is Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Mhm.
I've been blessed, and this is kind of also in the journey. Living in Baltimore, we have two world-renowned level one medical facilities, being the University of Maryland Shock Trauma and Johns Hopkins Hospital. So Johns Hopkins, both of them are in the dead center of the city, in the hood all around it. So it's like they have employed a lot of people from the surrounding community. So throughout high
Mhm.
school, I always used to hear about people working at Hopkins. So I said, let me just get my foot in the door, come in as environmental care. I was cleaning up ORs after procedures. I was cleaning up rooms, and I just call it, I was cleaning toilets all day. And that was just so that, because I knew once I got in the hospital, I could
Mhm.
really work my way around. And, once you're in the system, it's so much easier to
Easier.
elevate
Yep.
and climb that ladder. So I became once I got into nursing school, after being accepted, I knew that, okay, I only need one semester of being a nurse to become a CNA without having to take any classes or things. Got my certification there, went to pretty much all the units on the floor, see who was hiring, and then
Mhm.
just found out who the nurse manager was, got a position, stood there, and I wanted to do something easy that wasn't going to take me away from school. So I started out in pre-op and PACU, and
Oh,
then
nice.
and that's where my IV skills really flourished, and I really fell in love with putting IVs. And then after that, I went to adult inpatient psych. So just two things where I can kind of do my homework and still be able to get that experience. After that, I became a nurse and started off in the ER, and it's been up since that. So yeah, I've climbed I've worked in EVS, which is housekeeping. I worked
Yep.
as a CNA. I've worked as a nurse. I've worked as a ICU nurse, ER nurse, pre-op and
Everything.
PACU. I've done med surge, gotten floating down to med surge, and now I do vascular access. So I've kind of in the short 6 years, I've had my way
You did
around the block.
everything, man.
I've done everything, but all in trying to find the best place for me.
And I think that's, like, one of the biggest things, like, I talked with a few people that either, like, quit nursing just of, like, a few years in or whatever, and
Mhm.
it's because they were stuck on, like, a med surge floor or, like, a really trash floor where management didn't really, support you, or, like, the
Right.
coworkers were bullying, eating their young type of thing, and they're like,
Mhm.
I can't do this," but then
Right.
I always told them, I was like, "I think you quit a little bit too early because you just didn't find the right spot for you yet."
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like,
I,
in nursing, you could go
you
so
know.
many places.
Mhm. And that really kind of gets me, especially when I hear nursing students and new grad nurses kind of complaining, because it's like, you don't have enough skin in the game. You haven't
Oh,
been around enough to really be able to make these statements. And that's why I feel like my authority comes in when I can say the things I say about nursing, because I've traveled the country. I've been to multiple
mhm.
different states as a nurse. I've been to multiple different types of hospitals, from community, level one, level two, tertiary outpatient. I've done critical care transport. So I've seen
You've done
so
it.
many different realms of nursing in 6 years, and has gained a vast knowledge of experience to be able to say, okay, this is a common theme that I'm seeing here. This is something that I can't really escape in any specialty that I do. Okay, I don't like this population. And it's so there I'm able to see things to base my judgment off of versus people who come in too soon and they just don't like doing the work. It's there's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking with one of the other coworkers too. I was like, I don't know if they just don't like doing the work, or they're
Yeah,
lazy,
that's
or
I think that's what it
or
really
just
is, man. They just it's they think that I don't know, like when you think of Kim Kardashian, it's really like what does she do? It's really more so live off of her personal brand. And I feel like when
Mhm,
people become nurses, they become nurses and think that the nurse brand is what it is to be a nurse. But whether you're a
mhm,
sanitation technician or a garbage man, there's no different from being a nurse. Like
mhm.
nursing is skilled labor. It's
Yep.
hard work, and that's where I my disconnect comes because I love the hard work of grinding it out with my patient, trying to figure it
Mhm,
out. Even working as a night shift, like my favorite part was the bed baths. So being able to, even though they can't consciously understand it, but being able to care for somebody and comfort
mhm.
somebody from just a simple bath,
Yeah.
that's what resonates with me, and that's where I find my passion in. But it's the politics outside of that that hinder me from being the best inside the room that I really can't do because it feels like you kind of got handcuffs around you.
And is that a reason why you went into travel for a little bit? Like, you did travel, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I did travel during COVID, pretty
So you
much
made that
from
money.
2020. Yeah, 2020 to right around up to 2023, and majority of that was for the money. But
Mhm.
the motivation behind it was knowing like I can't do this forever because I'm one of those people where my mind is constantly thinking. I'm
Yeah,
constantly in living in the future, which is a gift and a curse.
yeah,
But I'm able to see kind of thing. One, I saw COVID is not going to last too long, so this
yeah.
money's not going to be around. Then
True.
I saw I can't continue to deal with the aspects of
Moving
nursing that
around.
I'm dealing with. I can't do that for 40 years, bro. I'm only 29. I turned 30 in March, but let's just say we start off at 30. They
Mhm.
expect me to retire at 65. So you're telling me another 35 years
Years.
I have to put up with this. That sounds like someone sentencing me to
Yeah,
jail. You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
And it's because not and a lot of people will take what I say about nursing as if I'm saying it about nurses, but it's the system, whereas though people are coming in and out, and I'm constantly putting a
Mhm.
band-aid on. They're leaving out and taking it right off, coming back in, putting a band-aid on. And then my facility or the place that I work for, they don't even give you the full band-aids. They only give you the little white part, and it got a little bit of stickiness on it. And it probably fall off as soon as they walk out. But it's like you don't have the support, the resources, and then the people who you are helping, they don't even want your help. So it's
That's
like,
true.
I'm not one of those people that's just gonna keep fighting the power, fighting for the cause.
Yeah.
If the cause is if there's no movement, if the needle isn't moving and there's no change being made, that's insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And I can't do that for too long. So
Yeah, that's, when I worked on, like, the heart failure floors, they pretty much told us that similar. I loved how you made that little Band-Aid and just
mhm,
little comment. It's the
make it
it
work. You got to
they're
make it
just
work.
make it work, so they're outta here for 30 days, and if they come here on the 31st, that means they could charge them insurance again.
And then they're gonna come back in worse on the 31st and be able
Yeah,
to charge them more. So
exactly.
it's just like, then don't let me get into the conspiracy because I like to because another aspect of my brand is just me being a black male nurse. And you where are your parents from?
Philippines.
The Philippines. So Filipino nurse, we know about the Filipino culture within
Mhm.
nursing.
Yeah,
So your history, you may have multiple people in your family that's
yeah.
nursing and they kind of prepared you for it or just kind of I respect that. I respect. Well, let me tell you what I respect about Filipino nurses. I respect the hustle of coming to a new country, getting a job there, working your
Mhm.
way up, building back at home, sending money back at home to the family, and
Yep.
then when it's time to leave, going back to not going back where you came from, but going back home. And that's a struggle I feel like my people don't really understand in the opportunity that's here in nursing to take advantage of it.
Mhm.
And I see, the the food deserts that are in the communities that are around these hospitals. I
Mhm.
see the patients that come in, like my school, like my friends and my associates come from these environments, and I know what the inside of their refrigerator looks like. I know what their idea of a doctor is, and I just
Mhm.
know that cultural disparity within my community and healthcare and how it started, the stigma, that gets me going into, okay, we got the food industry, we got big pharma, we got
Mhm.
healthcare. It's all one big triad, kind of just playing off everybody else. The food keeps us taking the medications keeps us in the hospital keeps
Yep.
us taking them. So it's just like, I want to really help people, man. I really want to help people not just change their lives, but change lives and generations after. I don't know who
Mhm.
that first person was in your family to really break the curse and get you, or be able to afford you the opportunity that you had to not have to come from the Philippines and be able to
Mhm.
start in America. Like that's a head up
That's huge.
already
Yep.
right there. You didn't have to come over. You already were able to start here
Already here.
and you
Yep.
had a foundation. So it's being able to provide that, and but also being cognizant of it is where kind of that my differentiation comes from a lot of people, because I see all the pieces moving around, and I'm just like,
And that's a good thing that I feel like only a few of us
mhm, mhm,
nurses have that perspective to see that there's more outside of this hospital. There's ways to make money outside this
mhm,
hospital so you don't have to rely on being paid just enough not to quit
right.
kind of thing. And
Mhm,
that is one of the biggest things. And that's why I also like gravitate towards you too, and just seeing how you're doing things. And obviously you're doing big things. You're doing real estate
mhm,
and now you're a financial planner.
mhm.
How did you get into real estate now?
So I got into real estate two ways. One, I was self-taught, and then two,
Mhm.
there was another nurse of mine, another nurse influencer who I saw. He doesn't really do the social media influence thing anymore. He's way more into real estate, but a buddy of mine named Stanley, he was this was at the, I want to say right before COVID, and then during COVID, he really ramped up. But he was the first nurse I ever saw with multiple rental properties,
Mhm.
doing Airbnbs, doing inside the renovation process. And because I didn't understand it at first, I couldn't fathom where he was getting the income from and how he was leveraging that. I didn't know what leverage was, but I didn't know how he was turning that income into these rental properties. So reached out to him, and that's where, that's the one thing, like, you got to be willing to be vulnerable sometimes
Yep.
and put yourself out there. Same way when you reached out in regards to the podcast, which I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So I reached out to Stanley and I'm like, hey, how are you doing this, bro? Like, just give me a little bit insight.
Yeah.
And the first thing he did to me, he told me two things. He said, man, I worked my ass off. And then he sent me some links to some books. And I was like, okay. And I kind of took it offensively at first, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have did that myself. But then I understood, like, here's the information. That's it. There's nothing that he can tell me that's not in the book. So I read the book, read one book, turned it to another book. I got
Mhm.
all of them behind me, and I just started to compound knowledge, and so that's what helped me get into real estate. And then once I had that information, COVID happened, money was coming in. I was able to then apply the knowledge that I had learned and actually purchase my first two real estate properties in 2021,
Right.
but which then made me become a financial advisor, because okay, now I had the money, now I had the business, now I'm trying to create the infrastructure. I don't know how to make my money work for me and how to allocate it, what to do with it. So it was just like, I just felt like, all right, I got this property, I'm a real estate investor, now what? Because there's so much more,
Mhm.
especially from the financial side, that comes to being a real estate investor. So I was like, okay, let me learn the back end of the operations to really get what's going on. And that's really how things started. And once I figured out and how to put it all together, I really realized how much of a benefit real estate is to
Mhm.
healthcare professionals who have the flexibility to work as much as they can. Like, this can cut your career in half, essentially,
Yep.
because if you focus from beginning to end on building your portfolio, you can replace your income and then allowing you to, one, become a full-time real estate professional, get
Yeah.
tax benefits,
It's
and continue to grow your wealth and build that way. So once I kind of get into something, just like I did with nursing, I'm like, all right, nurse, CRNA, they get the. So I started to do that, but then I just switched it and did it with real estate and wanted to figure out a way how I could monetize it without. I didn't want to be the real estate guru, but I know for me, within my journey, had I not had the financial foundation that I had, I would have failed. My first run at real estate would have been a ultimate failure, and I can't really say where I would have been today.
no, at least from like from my perspective of it, because I have like a similar story too, is that at least we have stable jobs that we could
Yeah,
continue making
yeah,
money
yep,
if we did fail. But I had a similar thing where I'm seeing like one coworker of mine that was just making it big in real estate, and then I did ask him the same thing. I was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing that?" And he's like, and all he did the same thing. He took pictures of the books he's reading. He sent it to me, and then he sent me like a link to the Bigger Pockets podcast. And he's like, on your drives to work, on your free time, listen,
every minute,
read.
just go in,
Yeah. And
go
he's
in.
like, once you have the mindset to do it and you see the money that is available to you through overtime or just working, as long as you're paying your bills, he's like, take the leap, man. Like, uh, if you fail, you just sell it for a
Yeah,
loss. At least you do
yeah,
something. At least you're trying it.
exactly.
And are your real estate in Baltimore area, or is it
Yeah.
like out of state? Okay.
So I think for me, Baltimore is, and this is kind of how the pieces all align. I've been living here all my life. I know
Mhm,
the layouts, I know the blocks, I know the communities, the good areas, the bad areas, the up and coming areas. Just because this is where I live, and it's a rental market. Not a lot of people in Baltimore own own their
mhm.
homes. So, Section 8 is big here. And I'm just like, I want to be able to get to the property as soon as possible if I need to, if anything happens. Because I thought I was actually going to be more hands-on than I was.
Mhm.
And
So you're
so yeah,
property managing?
yeah, I'm actively managing both of my
Oh,
properties. Yeah. So but both of my properties are in the Baltimore City area, and they're really kind of on the same block with each other. Because I got them on auction at the same time. But yeah, that to answer your question, in Baltimore, and really maybe about 20 minutes from where I'm living at.
oh, nice. So
Yeah.
because you're doing the property management, are you getting the tax benefit of real estate professional?
So no, because there's all I am is as a property manager. I'm still working full time, and there's a certain I believe there's a certain amount of hours,
I think so,
or
yeah.
yeah, a certain amount of hours that you have to really be able to put in, and it has to be kind of like documented, in a same way they do our timekeeping. So I would have had to gotten a CPA early on to really do the bookkeeping to
Yeah,
prove that I'm a professional. But that's going to come more later on down the
yeah.
line. When I say manager, I use a tenant placement agency to kind of get my tenants. They're
Mhm,
Section 8, so they're really long term. And I'm calling a contractor, well, my handyman, if something comes up or if I need to go past the property. But I'm not really like, it's not really much need to be in the house, in the properties, if you have a kind of a good team, to be able to delegate to.
and do you like, doing Section 8 type rentals? And if you don't mind, just for the audience, can you explain what Section 8 is?
Yeah, so Section 8 is a government assistance agency that helps people who their income can't afford to pay where they live. And Section 8 will give them a certain percentage of their whatever their rent is. So if they don't have enough to pay any of it, they get 100% coverage of their rent. They get utilities assistance. And sometimes I believe it's above 30%. They cover like above up to 30% of something. But I like Section 8 because it's guaranteed income
Mhm,
at first of the month, every month, and that was the reason I got into it. But now that I'm in it, s common theme of my life, you think one thing, you get in it, you realize the other thing. There are a lot of hurdles within the Section 8
mhm,
investment strategy. So with Section 8, you're getting, and people think Section 8, oh, somebody just gonna tear up my house and they not this, that.
mhm,
You can get a lot of good Section 8 tenants. It's just finding them. And they stay for a long time because
mhm.
Section 8, I call it a mindset. People who live on Section 8 their parents lived on Section 8, their grandparents lived on Section 8. It's really kind of a mentality because it's hard to get out once you have the assistance of the government.
Mhm.
But you got to deal with people's mindset who, one, they don't pay bills the same way you pay bills. They
Yeah.
don't make money the same way you make money. Having to communicate with them and with a government agency and getting through that communication there's so many roadblocks versus communicating directly with a tenant, a private tenant. But I was just so fearful of not having rental income because of coming out of the financial situation I was in, where I'm covering three mortgages
Yep.
for 2 years, a year and a half straight. I'm trying to get somebody in there. I don't want to have to ever worry about paying another mortgage again. So that's why I was like, let me go the Section 8 route, especially because we were coming off of COVID, the rent moratorium that was
Yeah.
going on. And I was just like, I need to find something more secure. But I would say if you can find a good Section 8 tenant, Section 8 is great, but you got to put a lot more work in on the back end because of that middleman government
Government, they had to
aspect.
make sure everything is up to
Yeah,
standard and
yeah.
all that.
I mean, like 2 inspections, an inspection from the city, and then a Section 8 inspection. So I'll give you guys an example. I recently had a tenant put in an inspection request for a non-life threatening emergency. He was having some rodent issues, and they didn't start until he moved in. But he called to have them come out to inspect. They noticed rodent droppings. They failed me. I had to get an exterminator. They had to then come back out a second time. Now, exterminator fixed everything, didn't see any activity, but there was still some
Droppings or something,
not
or
droppings, but it looked like somebody was picking away at the weather stripping, the door stripping at the bottom.
yeah.
So it looked like a mouse was eating at it or something. All I had to do was get that replaced, but they failed me for that. After that second failure, they stopped my rent payments. So
Oh,
now,
damn.
yeah, so now I had to pay for them to come back out a third time just to verify, okay, that thing was fixed. And then they'll start my rent payment from the day that I got passed. So anytime in between, and this was just a learning process because
Damn.
I waited a month. I waited a month because I'm thinking they're coming on a 30-day schedule. Let me get that next 30-day schedule. I'm communicating with Section 8. Nobody's emailing me back. When I finally do get to someone, which is upper management, they tell me, oh, yeah, well, you've been in abatement since, let's just say, December 30th. It's now January 28th. You're not getting paid for those days because you didn't pass until today. But nobody even told me that. Nobody said anything to me. I've been reaching out for weeks. So what I had to do is I had to pull all my phone records. I had to pull all my emails and lay it out how from that day I got it fixed, I've been in communication to try to get in contact with someone, and I
Mhm.
couldn't. So that I had to prove that and be able to get my rents, my back
Dang.
rents back. Yeah, but it's just like so much of that. I got a tenant who's not paying her water bill and she gets utility assistance. Section 8 is telling me, hey, that's not our job. You got to take her to court. Now I got to deal with her in court just for me to have to communicate with Section 8, whatever the verdict of that court was. And then they penalize her, take her voucher, and start the process over with somebody. So it's such a shitty system. Excuse my
Mhm.
language, but
No,
it's such
you
a
could curse on
bad
here.
system. Yeah, it's a system within that, which is why I understand how people stay in it and can't get out of it. But then when they're in it, they're also treated so poorly, which is why I get my sometimes they just may take advantage of the system
Yeah.
because it's like they don't care about me. What I need to care about them for. So it's a lot, and that's but I think that's what being a real estate investor,
Mhm.
period. With being a real estate investor, you're automatically going to become a landlord. I'm one of those people where if you're a new landlord, less than 4 properties, you should definitely be trying to actively manage them yourself to understand what you got to go
Mhm.
through. Because um, I've been to small claims court, I've been to rent court to figure out these things because you don't want to learn it when you
Yeah.
got to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So trying to delegate, and that's one thing that nursing teaches us. Oh, delegate, delegate, delegate. But as a nurse, they also teach us if you're going to delegate something to someone, you still have to also be able to know how to do that and go behind them to make sure it's done right because it ultimately
You
falls
gotta
on your
follow it
life.
up.
You got to follow it up, and that's the same thing with real estate. Like you can't just be like, oh, they'll handle that because your name is on that property at the end of the day.
No, that's true because I have 2 rental properties in Ohio.
Okay.
One of them is I wouldn't say in the best part of the neighborhood, and that's, like, the harder one to rent out, and then I was
Okay.
thinking maybe I should put it on Section 8 or something, but then even, like, since it's all the way out there, I do have a property manager, and she's like, "Oh, there's gonna be a lot of hurdles you're gonna have to go through. You're gonna have to
Mhm.
come out here a few times too to show your face,
Mhm.
just so they know who's behind the house because I have it in an LLC."
Okay.
And, like
Okay.
and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
so
Yep.
they're like, "They need to see your face here, actually know what you're about,"
Mhm.
and then she even said, like, sometimes you're just not gonna find the right Section 8 tenant for you, and you don't wanna just throw someone in there, like you
Someone in
said,
there.
even though the rent will come in, you don't know how they're gonna treat your house because like you said, people are people,
People
and you're
yeah.
there's gonna be really good people just so happen to be on Section 8, and if you could find that person, they'll be in there for a long time, they'll treat your
Right.
house like it's their house, and that's the one you wanna find. It's just gonna be hard to find
Hard to
them
find
because
that, yeah.
a lot of them already got, like, a crib that they wanna go to. So,
And then a
eh
lot of times with the Section 8 too, like, you get caught in this balance between people who get vouchers, they don't wanna live in the hood because it's free. They still wanna get a nice house just like you. So there are
Mhm.
people who have vouchers that are $2,200 a month, and they can get a nice house that's out in the suburbs, and that's
Mhm.
what they prefer. They want the updated things, the stainless steel appliances and all of that. So it's hard to even try to find good people when you have a standard unit, because if I'm going to be getting it for free and somebody else going to be paying for it, I want the best of the best. That's
Yeah.
what that's
Why
what
am I
they're
gonna live
looking
in the
for.
hood if I don't have to?
Exactly, exactly. So it's really kind of up and down. I want to say for me, I don't think my portfolio is really going to be stabilized until I want to say maybe about 5 years from now, because
Mhm.
that way I will have been able to gone through multiple tenants. I will have been
Mhm.
able to really fine tune my lease and my leasing process, and then to just get everything together. I feel like you got to go through a couple bad people
Oh,
before
yeah.
you know who's good and who's bullshitting you, and things like that.
Yeah, that was one of the big things too is, my lease agreement, when I was showing it to my property manager, she's like, "Oh, usually it's only, like, 1 page long," and I had, like, a 5 pager, and I was like, "Nah, I need to make sure everything's covered on this."
Everything.
I
A
was like
lease is like I mean, it is a contract, but it's like that's the only protection that you
mhm,
have when it comes to court. I haven't gone like fully through the court process, but in court, they don't care how you feel. They don't care who you are, how you look. They going by the book and what's on paper. And if you don't got it on paper, you're not protected.
yeah, and that was my problem with that, the first property I was just telling you about is that I wrote it maybe a little bit wrong, like, you have 5 days to from the 1st, I
Mhm.
guess, to the 5th to pay me, the full rent, so usually this one tenant just keeps paying me on the 6th, and I was like, "Nah, that's not a part of it." Like, "Oh, it's if you read it like this,
Mhm.
then I'm gonna keep paying you on the 6th." But now when I get a new tenant in there after they leave, I'm gonna make sure it's, like, only on the 1st, and then if it goes past the 5th day of the month,
Yeah. Then you
you
start
have to
getting
have, like, a
penalties.
fee. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I was like, "Dang, these guys really know how to read." Like, they
They
really read
know the
this.
system. And that's the thing, like, you come in as a real estate investor, but then when you be that and that's the thing people miss out on. Getting the property, going through the analysis process and trying to find that's the real estate investing. Then
Yep.
you become a landlord and
Yeah.
you have to become a business owner, because this person, if given the opportunity, will take advantage of
Oh,
you
100%.
and do the exact same thing like you're just saying, where it's just really semantics in how you want to read it.
Mhm.
But it's like, why would, if you can pay it on the 6th, you're choosing to pay it on the
Yeah,
6th.
on
You
the
could
6th.
probably
Yep.
pay it on the 5th. And where I have to learn and grow as a business person is not taking it personal, because
Mhm.
it's like, 'cause now you playing with me, man. Come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stop playing with me and my money. That's just so it's hard. That's why I
I'm
gotta make
still
sure
paying my mortgage on
I'm
the
still
1st.
paying my mortgage and I'm paying yours, and you want to be playing around about one day.
For real.
Things
And it
like that make me want to say, you know what? Let's just terminate the lease, because you just I can't deal with that.
no, that's true, like what you just said, like, when you're a real estate investor, and then now you're picking up another hat of the landlord, and, like, originally, when I first started getting into it, I was like, "Okay, I'm a real estate investor now. everything's under that one umbrella. I got this. I figured it out. I did all my numbers. They're working. I'm cash flowing a little bit. But then once that landlord stuff happens, once the things start breaking and you're on the phone with whoever you got to call, you're like, damn, this
Mhm.
is a lot of work.
A lot
And
of work.
then like I still do my bookkeeping myself with like
Okay.
Excel sheet for P&Ls, and like that stuff takes up time too, just like
Yeah.
getting all the receipts and
You using Excel,
emailing just
man?
it was like
You
something
got to
my
listen. I know a real estate financial advisor who's got some free resources.
I'll check.
Stessa, man. Check into Stessa. Stessa's a
That's
great app. It's assets spelled backwards, and that's what I use as far as my entire bookkeeping and profit loss, expenses, and things. And
Mhm.
it'll put it all together, and it'll connect to your cards when you are spending, and then during tax time, it'll just spit everything out to you that you need. So just to
I'll check
save
that.
some, look,
Yeah.
just check it out.
I'll definitely check that out. So now that you got the real estate, and then now you is this your own company, the Opulent
Yeah,
Ascension?
yeah,
So
yep.
can you go into that? Tell us
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So initially starting out, man, you guys, you may be familiar with like Primerica,
Mhm.
WFG, these multi-level marketing insurance brokerages. So I got into that the first year because I've always had a financial advisor. Like I've always been very meticulous and anal about my money and
Mhm.
managing it. But then when it came to the investing, the savings, I wanted to kind of put that off to someone else. And working with him, he was with Primerica. I didn't understand fees prior to, like, when it comes, not fees of an advisor, but actual fees of buying into a mutual fund, an index fund, and the
Okay.
expense ratios and things of that nature. So I'm like, okay, I'm not understanding that. But once I started to want to become an advisor, I reached out to him, and I had taken my securities entrance exam. And when you take that exam, that's just so that you have the foundational knowledge. That's like the T's essentially, or the S, I
Mhm.
mean the T's, or the, I forgot the other, HESI.
That's yeah.
And once I took that, it kind of opened my world up to the financial services space. And I'm like, okay, there are different types of financial advisors. So this guy is a broker dealer. This guy is a financial planner. This guy is an insurance broker. So a lot of specialties can really fit under the financial advisor name. Just like if you say nurse, you got ICU nurse, you got ER nurse, you got so many different
Yep.
titles and specialties, but that same thing comes with a financial advisor. So once I started to learn it, I'm like, hold on. So they make me get my SIE, then I had to get my life insurance license. Then they were going to make me take another test, which was my Series 7, which would have allowed me
Yeah.
to um sell securities products. So once I'm understanding that, I'm like, it's not making sense. And when I knew that I had the leverage as far as my platform, I had an audience, I had a niche already. I wouldn't have to get leads from anyone else.
Yep.
Then he told me what the profit share was as far as breakdown. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming in working under you, but you working under some other guy you just made me have a meeting with. He's getting this percentage, you're getting this percentage, and I'm getting the lowest percentage, but I'm doing all the work. How does
Work.
that work
Yep.
out? So that's when I just did more research. I found about being a fiduciary financial advisor, financial planner, and having my own registered investment advisory firm. And that was a 2-year process as far as getting the licenses, getting registered with the state of Maryland and the
Mhm.
Attorney General Securities Division, getting registered through FINRA, and really, like, I kind of look at myself. I'm the same as a Edward Jones, a Charles Schwab, a Fidelity, but
Mhm.
I'm an independent artist, and I'm all independent within myself. So I still have all those capabilities and can do those things. So I was like, I need something where it's like I'm building equity. I'm not trying to go from one job to
Mhm.
then working for somebody else. I want something to where as though I can choose who I want to work with. I can work with them the way I want to work with them. And then it's a long-term relationship. So that's why I went the route of really vertically integrating and building from the ground up to in the business I have now versus like, all right, I'm just going to make a complete career switch. I'm going to go and become a financial advisor at a bank or somewhere
Yep.
else. I was like, I'd rather struggle early on, but be able to build clientele of people whom I can actually really
And
change
why
their life.
work for someone else with the lowest profit share when you already
Exactly.
got a stable job?
Right.
Like, why do you wanna
Exactly.
work for another boss, you know? Why don't
That's
you
the
just be your own boss?
exact, and that's the like I say I hate the profession of nursing, but that's why I love nursing because I can do 312s, night 7P to 7A, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and still work through the week during the
Mhm,
daytime and have another full-time job if I wanted to. But I still have that income coming in there to where as though I don't mind investing in a business, taking a loss early on, and
mhm,
then getting to a point where I'm making 500, $600,000 a year, but a
mhm.
80% profit margin. You get what I'm
Yep,
saying? So I would much rather that and have the freedom to wake up, come downstairs, do what I have to
what
do.
to do.
Waking
Mhm.
up, going to a hospital and making it.
And I have a question. Why did you go into the financial planning versus from all the real estate nurses that I've talked to, they went into the real estate agent route where they're like, since I'm ready getting real estate properties, I could also be the dude that's selling it and doing all like leasing it and getting the commissions that way.
So for me, it was because of my journey. Like my journey was so it was hell, man. It was hell. And it was more so like mental hell in having paying 3 mortgages, figuring out,
Mhm.
okay, how am I gonna I have to keep working 48, 60 hours a week in order to manage. So
Yeah.
that's just guaranteed. I'm tired from working. Then not knowing when this will be over, like not being able to see the finish line and knowing that my income is decreasing literally every 3 months.
Mhm.
Every contract I'm getting a lower rate, but my responsibilities are staying the same. So
Or more.
or more, or growing, and it would just there was a constant state of anxiety and fear because I'm just thinking like foreclosure, failure. I'm I'm done my first time
Yeah.
in, my regrets and just being mad at myself for getting 2 at the same time. Now COVID is changing the landscape of the world, and it's a completely different world than it was when I bought the
Mhm.
properties as far as the real estate market, so I can't get out, and it's just like I felt stuck and I felt like there was nowhere I could go. So I went the
Mhm.
planning route because I wasn't trying to sell real estate. I'm not trying to become that real estate guy.
Hey,
Like
guru.
that's
Yeah.
not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a real estate a powerful real estate investor. So I was just like, I don't want to sell real estate. I don't want to have to deal with like the commissions process and the up and down because that becoming a real estate agent was good when the housing market is good, but when the
Mhm.
housing market is bad,
It's
then what
true.
you doing?
Yeah,
So I was yeah, so I'm like, I would rather help prepare people to become investors. I'd rather help people who are investors become efficient investors and help them streamline their process to remove that, to create that peace of mind and remove that fear and anxiety that is just kind of looming over our heads all the time, and really help them figure out, okay, how am I going to leverage this, what I have, the resources I have to get me out of healthcare earlier than I would have. So that's what really made me because I'm like me is I'm a planner. Like I'm breaking everything down. I need to be able to see everything. I need to be able to know the direction I'm going. I don't just
Mhm.
living off of hope and a dream. Like a dream needs a plan because if with a dream without a plan is merely just a wish. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
wish.
So
Yep.
I'm just like I need to help people create a plan because there's going to be somebody who is there's going to be a lot of people who go through what I went through. But guess what? They not gonna be able to get out. They not gonna be able to manage. They not gonna
It's
be
true.
able to learn from it and see, okay, where's the lesson in this? What am I supposed to grow and take from this? They're gonna fold. So I want to be able to help people not fold, or if they in it, and so that they don't fold, let them know, hey, you got me. I'm right here with you. It's okay. I've been through it. I've seen what you're going through. And I just wish I had that in my ear because man, it's been times where I'm months on the couch just
Mhm.
because I don't feel worthy enough of sleeping in my bed. You know what I'm saying? It's been months where, I'm just randomly crying, man, because it's like I wanted this so bad. I worked so hard for this and I fucked up the first time. And now I'm
Mhm.
gotta be a nurse forever. Like
Oh,
I get emotional just thinking about it because I'm like, I almost fucked up so bad and would have really had to start over. And that just extends my timeline of being a nurse.
yep.
And that would have been the failure to me. So to be able to just getting the confidence to get started is hard enough. So now
Mhm.
if I know I got somebody who has the confidence to start, they putting in the work themselves to get the knowledge, they're putting in the work to build the capital to buy in. I want to give them every ounce of support that I can so that they don't give up on themselves. Because your
Mhm.
brain will talk you out of you. I put my
Everything.
houses, I put my properties on the market halfway through because I didn't see the forest past the trees. But every time I talk to somebody, a real estate investor, they're like, bro, get through it. You just gotta get to the finish line. I don't care what you do, where it comes from, you gotta get to the finish line. And that's what I did. And now I'm able to, speak on this. But there are people out there who want the same thing I want, but don't
Mhm.
have don't have
The support in the
the
back for
not
them.
even the support, don't have the risk tolerance. That's what it is. They don't have
Yeah.
the risk tolerance to take that leap and just go out there and see wherever the world takes me, that's where it's gonna be. They need really that push and then that handhold along the way.
So, also regarding the financial advisor role that you now have, seeing social media and how everyone is like got like some sort of regular financial coach and totally different things, financial advisor versus financial coach.
Mhm.
Why did you go with the harder route technically? The more, yeah, like why did you go the harder route?
'Cause I wanted to build something real, I wanted to build something that I could pass on to my daughter if she wanted to take over the business, something that
Mhm,
I could sell the business, sell my clients if I needed to at the end, when I wanted to, make an exit. So I really wanted to build something like that was tangible, something that was in my head. When I just kind of think of myself, I want to be a big dog. You know what I'm saying? So when
mhm,
I thought of the big dog, it's okay. You're gonna have stickability because one, you'll be able to manage people's investments. Two, you'll have the stickability because you'll be able to help people plan from A to Z. And
mhm.
then within that, life is going to happen and they're going to still need you as, hey, I was about to buy my first property, but I just found out my wife is pregnant. Now that stops. So it's like life is going to happen along the way. And to
Mhm.
be able to help get people through those processes, I just feel like there's a restriction when it comes to coaching because you can't actually give
Give
advice. And
advice.
then
Yep.
and then outside of giving advice, you can't manage people's assets. You don't have the discretion to buy and sell stocks. You don't have the discretion to make trades and really maximize somebody's return on their money by just doing coaching. And I know that like a lot of people aren't like me. I can take coaching and run with it and create a business from it.
Mhm.
And but some people need like, I need you there to do it for me. I
Yep.
need you to do it for me because this isn't what I want to do. I'm not passionate about this. I'm passionate about being a nurse. I'm passionate about being a doctor. Okay, you
Mhm.
go be the best doctor you can be, and I'm going to be the best financial advisor that I can be to you and help you grow that money that you're making over there. And so that's really the route because a coach is like, all right, I'm gonna
Let me do a
motivate you.
one-on-one with you really
Yeah, I'm
quick.
gonna motivate you to do this, and then I'm gonna put you back out there to do it on your own. And
Yeah,
it's like,
hopefully you do it.
yeah, and it's like they never do it, and it becomes like the whole social media guru and influencer
Mhm.
space has really like got a bad rap for me and has a bad taste in my mouth because when I was that aspiring learner, whether
Yep.
it was Airbnb, stocks, vending machines, Turo, when I was that learner, they give you about 25% of the information,
Mhm.
and then they want you to pay to come back for the next 25%. Then they want you to pay double that to get the rest of the 50%.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Give me that master class for
yeah,
15 grand.
exactly. And it's like, that's not, yeah, you're benefiting off of that, but how is this person? This person is coming to you to learn. They ain't got 15 grand to be given to.
Mhm.
Now it's a difference if, okay, I'm a real estate investor. I got 100 grand. I'll give you 15 to help me turn the rest of that 85 into now 130. Let's do
Mhm.
that. But people are coming in with nothing,
Nothing.
taking
They're
out,
putting it on
take-
credit
yeah,
cards.
put it on credit cards, getting funding for that, which is they think it's taking them here and then they're going here, but they're actually going
They're
backwards.
backwards. Yep.
And but their mindset is going forward. So it's just like I don't like that finesse. I don't like the game, that finesse game. And I really want to help people. Like I get fulfillment when I'm talking on the phone and somebody has that realization. I can do this. It's possible. It's not as hard as I thought, or this is what's holding me back. This is what I need to change and thanking me from that. That's the same feeling I get when I'm with that patient and I get that IV after they done been stuck 8 times, and it's like,
Mhm.
"Thank you so much just for being here."
Yep.
So, yeah.
Being there, guiding them through it the right
Ex
way kinda thing.
exactly.
And that like, I was talking about this with some of my coworkers too. They're like, "Why don't you do coaching?" Because I do lot of stocks, a lot of crypto, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"I don't wanna do it like that because if you mess up because you didn't follow my steps and I'm not even allowed to give advice, you know?"
Right.
So it's like, if you mess up, you're gonna come after me.
Mhm.
I'm doing this with my own money, and I've luckily for me did well for myself, and I
Right.
have play money, you know? But, like, if you don't got it like that, and then you end up losing out or you're not paying attention the way you should, like how I would be on the market, then
Mhm.
you're just losing out. And
It was
then
gonna
you
be, "Hey,
see
Brian, you told me that what's going on, man? You know what now?" But it's like, yo, you that's what I meant by the risk tolerance. We got different risk so if somebody
Mm,
tries to follow Brian's, crypto or market plan, it's gonna be different because I don't feel they don't you may not feel comfortable taking those
mhm,
chances with every investment, there's
mhm,
a look, I want you guys to look at me. There's a possibility that you're gonna lose your money. You have
mhm,
to be open and honest with that realization, like, "Okay, I could lose all of this and not
yeah,
get it back." And, with somebody taking your advice and running off with it, they could ruin themselves.
yep,
And I know I just can gauge how you are as a person. I know that would really make you feel bad as a person. Like, why
100%,
did I do
dude.
this? Like, this is my fault.
Yeah,
So
when
yeah,
people ask me, I'm like, "Nah, man, I could just tell you what all those other
right,
people that say their coach is doing.
yeah,
S&P 500 do that and just keep
hmm
on chugging
just
away
keep
at it."
on dollar cost averaging.
But that's the thing too. That's what people are paying these coaches for, something you could simply Google, right?
Hmm, hmm.
Total stock market index fund, S&P 500, and should you max out your 401k, 403b? I was like, is that really the type of content or information that you're making tons of money off of?
Money off of
Something
right, especially if
something
you know it.
Googleable, you know?
And and that's what it was for me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm really passionate about this right now. That's what
Mhm.
it was for me because I'm like, it's got to be something else besides just the managing assets. Like, because you one could do it yourself. Now there is a complexity and there is a strategy when it comes to rebalancing. And you may have a Roth IRA, but just because you're investing in a Roth IRA doesn't mean that that Roth IRA is actually invested. You get what
Yes.
I'm saying? That's just the box to put the money in. You now also have to invest that money within that Roth IRA. So
Mhm.
understanding the rebalancing and what sectors to get into, there's a different level of complexity. But when you just kind of want people to do it for you, but you go to a coach, it's like that's not what a coach is there for. If you want somebody to do it for you, because that's what people want, that
That service.
convenience, that service. So that's when you go to the appropriate financial professional, not just the coach, because the coach is really going to help you with just the mindset,
Yep.
some actionable strategies and understanding, from a behavioral finance perspective. But an advisor is actually going to be able to use the skills that they have to take what you want and then create that for you.
Yeah, and that's huge. Like, I don't know. I think we see the same on that because
Mhm.
I see a lot of nurses or anyone out there just like they're trying to be that coaching guru of but they're all just repeating the same information over and over again and it's not anything special
Mhm.
because it's literally still telling the person you gotta work 30 years to get to become that millionaire, that 401k, 403b millionaire or that Roth IRA millionaire. And like
Mhm.
you're like, yeah, you'll be better off 30,
Right.
35 years from now, but it's also not getting you to where you want to be by your 40 by the time you're 45 so you could
Mhm.
actually enjoy those prime years so you don't have to be a nurse for the 35 years that we were talking about,
And they
right?
also, I feel like those people really sell you on their success. That's why I'm big. If you look at my
Mhm,
content, I'm showing you guys the day in, the day out, the ups and the well, really mostly just the downs. I don't really show the up, but people sell their success up until the
mhm,
point they've reached. So it's like
yep,
and especially in healthcare. So
yeah,
I mean, when I say I study the landscape, I know all the influencers. I know all the what they're selling. I know the marketing, the funnels, and I see it playing out. And I'm like, okay, but you're still a nurse.
Yep.
You're still doing the same thing I'm doing, but you're trying to sell me on what is so-called supposed to get us out. So it's like me on the other hand, I would prefer to follow somebody who, okay, I see you doing it, you're going through it. I'm trying to get to where you are. I'm trying to get to your
Mhm.
point. Help me get to that point, and then we can grow together. And of course, as you grow, I'll be growing because you're already ahead of me. And
Yep.
I just feel like nurses, they get a knack in something, or they get into something, and then they want to become the face of it. And it's
Yep.
like you don't really got that much skin in the game, whether it's through time or whether it's through actual experience. Like, what am I seeing you do? And then another thing, like when it comes to real estate or investing, you don't know people's financial situation. So you may have
Mhm.
a influencer who got a granddaddy, got a grandmom who got 5 million in inheritance sitting waiting for them, or something that they can leverage and use. I met a guy
Yep.
that I work with. He's got a beach home, that $1 million vacation rental.
Yep.
I forgot, in somewhere else. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, you come to me talking about financial advice, but you got this house that you're paying $4,000 a month for. And I'm thinking in my head, how is
How
he
you
affording?
affording it? Yep.
He ended up telling me that his grandparents bought in on Apple when it was less than $1. Do you hear what I'm saying? No, do
Yeah.
you really hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They bought in on Apple when it was
That's
less
wild.
than $1. I can only imagine what that portfolio look or what
Looks
that
like,
number
yep.
is right now, even if you took $1 million out to leverage it. So it's like you'll see somebody else who, and he could have taken that and became the vacation beach house nurse
Yep.
coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
And
everybody don't got
don't have to
grandparents
show
like
how you
that.
got it
You
like
don't got you
that.
don't never say how you got it. We don't see that. So me, I'm like coming from the ground level. I really like to say like I got it out the mud. So whatever knowledge, experience that I've gained, that's why I'm trying to give it back. Not to make money from it, not to monetize it,
Mhm.
but what I found out in the space of money, when you serve people, when you help people,
Mhm.
money comes. The money
Yep.
comes regardless. When you help people, when you have something of service to people, the money comes. So I just want to help as many people as I can, because the money is going to come from that. If I can create a life of myself that is supported through just helping people, then that's it. That's all I need. I like that in golf. That's it. But it's like that's what I see a lot of people, and you got to really know and only look in the mirror at yourself, like, what resources do I have? Let me stop looking at this person, trying to be like this person, trying to get to the what do I have, and what is the information that they're
Yep.
giving me? How is that going to change what I'm doing?
No, it's true, and I don't wanna sound like a hater out here
Mhm.
because, like, my
It just
wife
is
even
what it
told
is,
me
man.
yeah,
It just is
my
what
wife
you
even told
enjoy.
me, she's like, We all know you're doing well, but you gotta be humble about it. Don't post it like that, just post that your ups and your downs, and
Mhm,
just to show that we're not living up like that." And I was like, "Oh,
mhm,
you know what? That's why you're my wife. You humble me, and you're keeping it real." But then I also like, it just irks me when I see, like, there's those nurses that says, "Oh, I was a bedside nurse for 3 years. Now I'm retired, and now I'm gonna be your financial coach and show you how I did it." But
mhm,
like you said, you don't know the financial background where it's like, how did they all of a sudden get enough side income to replace a nurse salary? And it doesn't matter where you live. A
mhm,
nurse salary could be 40,000 all the way up to, like, California, 200,000 or whatever.
mhm.
How did you build it like that unless you somehow, I hate being a hater, but
No, no, it's real. It's real. Imma listen, this your platform. Let me be the hater. This is your, because Imma come right behind you and really give the real hate. Yeah, it's how did you do it in the time frame that you did? Because I know that really doing this, it's really getting out of nursing, it's a 10-15 year
Yeah.
process, like for real getting out. So you did this in a year and a half. How? Like, let's lay that out. And then I've seen the up in, okay, we got a bunch of nurse influencers who are selling this escape the bedside, how
Mhm.
they did it. But guess what? that was when everybody was making money. Money was out here
Yeah.
just flowing. They
Yeah.
was just printing money. Now that we really back to life, I don't hear much of it. I
No,
don't hear
none.
much of it. And my thing is, that's why I always tell people go to financial professionals, because versus going to what you're comfortable with, which is that person who has connected with you, who is speaking
Mhm.
to you from social media, because that's what social media is. Social media is just, you have creators and you have consumers. You're the consumer. Sorry. And now that they are creating that content to
Real
sell,
talk.
yeah, they're creating that content to sell to you, and you bought into it. You fell into the algorithmic trap. Sorry, but these people don't really have one. The It's, for example, if I were to give somebody bad financial advice, they can go to Broker Check, they can go to FINRA, and they can report me. They
Yep.
can say something. Of course, they have to have proof they're my clients, and then, but they can report me, and then the next person will be able to see, oh, hey, he got reported by this person in this year and this, that, and the third. You go to somebody else, you go to one of these these coaches on social media, they are creating their testimonials. They're
Mhm.
creating the environment. They're creating the landing pages and everything that's going to suck you in and feed into your desires, and that's the game. That's the game. And like, it's hard to say because it's just a part of life, but you got winners and you got losers.
It's just
And
yep.
it takes a special person to realize, like, boom, like, this is I'm seeing it everywhere. I see it whether it's with stock market, I see it whether it's with real estate, I see it whether it's with short-term rental. It's all just saying the same thing. And but that's just kind of the play. That's their way to get out of nursing. They're not getting out of nursing through what they're teaching you. They're getting out of nursing through teaching you. That's that's their new
They're
job.
learning while they're teaching you.
Yeah, they're learning while they're teaching you. So
But that's like the thing, because like when I hear those stories, I've been a nurse for I'm 34, so I've been a nurse since I was 22, so like 12 years. And then like I'm in New York, I'm making 140, 100, anywhere above
let me
that,
let me
right?
just tell you, but brother, hats off to you, because that's double my nurse life expectancy. And then two, that is triple because you're a New York nurse. I worked in New York for 3 months during COVID, and it's a world that I've
It's a
never
different world,
seen. It's
man.
a different world. I mean, just getting to work
Okay, just
is
getting to work is an
just
extra
getting to, man.
hour.
I was late for work one day, almost late for work, because a lady wanted to hold up the bus. I mean, sitting in front of the bus, hands up, stopping the bus, because some bus driver wouldn't let her on or something. But it's a different world. New York and Florida. That's what I would
Yeah.
say. Those are the two.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're making good money up here,
Mhm.
and luckily I got my primary house during like right before COVID with like a 2.8%. So it's like free money coming in.
Yeah.
But then when I hear these people saying like they quit within three years max or something, and I'm like, my goal is to be done by 40, and I think I could actually get there with what I'm doing and all that. And to think that they're in states where they're not making as much as like a New York or California nurse, like how you doing it and how could you replace that salary? It just like blows my mind being like, what it almost makes me like second guess my thought process. What am
Yes.
I doing wrong
Yes.
when
Yep.
when I'm doing good with stocks? I got real estate. I have my 401k, my 403b, my Roth IRA. I'm doing it. And then I'm hearing all these other people being like, somehow selling a course, like, and then it starts getting at my head being like, should I be selling a course? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, listen, let me just say, because you are not alone, and to speak to the viewers out there that are watching, that's why having a financial plan is so important, because there's
Mm,
so many distractions out here that will make you think like your strategy isn't right, isn't the best way, because it's
mhm,
something else is working for somebody else. But your strategy is your strategy for you. Like that, like you just said, it's to get out by 40. That's your timeline, everything.
mhm,
And then you got to do everything that you need to do to get that for you. Everything else, the outside noise, and people fall off and set themselves back because they try to push that timeline and decrease
mhm,
that timeline because somebody else did it in a faster way. So man, it's really just about what works for you and staying focused, like, on your plan, because life's gonna throw its wrenches in there
yep,
enough. And that's the curse of social media, because it's so available and in your face, and you can see what everybody is doing on their
Yeah.
highlight reel, and
Yeah.
it'll really mess your mind up. It'll really mess your mind up. But that's when you gotta go back to the plan or call your advisor, have that talk, and for them to say, "Hey, Brian, when we first talked, you told me 2.5. You said 20,000 a month in income. You said out by 40. So what does that have to do with anything that you bringing me right now?
Yep.
What they got doing have to do with these 3 points?"
The
Then you're gonna be like,
you right.
"All right, you're right. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Let me get back." You know what I'm saying? So that's what needs to be done so you could stay on that plan, because man, whether it's you going through it and something going on in your real estate and you like, I don't see how I'm gonna get that $20,000 in income if this property keeps being vacant. I can't get anybody in there, or I can't do this. Somebody else is saying, "Oh, I shouldn't do a long term. I shouldn't do section. I should do this." It's, you got to pick what's for you, and then you really got to stick to that for 10
Yep.
years at least.
Yep.
10 years at least. And we got to start, like nurses, I don't know where it comes from, but we got to start thinking long term, in decades. Like, okay, I'm gonna invest in real estate. I'm gonna build this portfolio for 10 years, and then I'm gonna self-assess,
Yep.
analyze, see where I'm at, see where my life is at. Because the
Yep.
goals that you set at 25
25.
are
Yep.
not the same goals you have right now. You know what I'm saying? So now we got to adjust, readjust, add new goals that are appropriate, that are fitting for our legacy, our kids now. Because at
Yep.
first you wanted to be, you living the life of the rich and famous for yourself. Now you
Yep.
got daughters that you want to go to school, for free or not
Yep.
have to pay anything. You got, at some point, I'm sorry, brother, and it's me too, but you're gonna have weddings to pay for because
Yep.
we're the father, and you know what I'm
Yep.
saying, that type of stuff. So you got responsibilities that life is gonna come in, and it's not gonna have anything to do with Brian and what Brian wants.
Yep.
But that's why we're making the sacrifices now for what we want, so that later on, when it's still not about what we want, we have the necessary resources.
At least we got it.
We
Like
got it. At least you got it now. At least you got it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's
man, Tyron, this was a lot of fun. I know we're hitting up more than I can talk with you all day. I feel.
yeah, we really, listen. We might have to do a part 2, bro, because
Yeah,
this
I
is
think we should.
it's gonna be a great episode. I think anybody who's watching is gonna fall into the conversation just like we did, man. Because I wasn't even paying attention to the time. So this
Man,
was great. I would love to do a shift with you, man. We probably
we probably had a
a
lot
lot
of
of
fun on
talking.
it. So, if anyone wants to find out about you, how could they find you, man?
If anybody's trying to get in contact with me, you can find me on my primary platforms are Instagram and YouTube at the Urban Nurse. I also have a private Facebook community for healthcare workers who invest in real estate and primarily are landlords, which is called the Healthcare Landlords Network. Just a place where people come, hold each other accountable, motivate, share each other's experiences, and everybody kind of growing together, working on their way to get out. Or you could email me. I mean, I have a link tree in any of my bios, and you can get in contact with me that way.
And if anyone wants to become as financially successful as you, man, what
Listen,
advice can you give them?
if anybody wants to become as successfully as me, and I don't think I'm that successful. I'm still struggling trying to get it, but I will say it's all about mindset and your mentality. Like I'm a Kobe Bryant fan, and it's about the Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest athletes that has ever crossed this planet, and it's not because of his physical attributes, but it's because of his mental attributes. And for 20 years, from the age of 18 until he retired, his sole focus was basketball and every single aspect of basketball. I mean, in the way that the ball bounced on this side of the court versus that. So really your mindset and your mentality to become the best person you can be. I always talk about maximizing your efficiency as a person. So becoming the most efficient person you can be because of your mindset, your mentality, which then transitions into your daily habits, which then helps you get to those goals and objectives you have set for yourself.
Man, that was great, dude. And man, Tyron, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. This will be airing in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I appreciate you, bro.
No. Thank you for reaching out, bro. You don't know how many relationships I've built and grown just from somebody doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? And that that vulnerable tactic as far as just taking a chance, reaching out. I've gotten jobs like that. I've built
Mhm.
friendships like that. But that's what really life is. We've gotten too mixed up into this social media.
Mhm.
But making connections and building networks just organically, that's what I'm here for, man. So I thank
Yep.
you for reaching out and thinking that I'm important enough to have
Hey,
you on your
man.
platform, man.
Heck yeah. And then if I ever go down to that DMV area, since I got some friends that just did travel contracts down there, I'll hit you
Nope.
up.
Hey, hit me up, man. I'll show you around. I'll show you around.
All right, later, man.
All right, man. You have a good one, brother.
You too. Bye.